we?
I'm fine, thank you, Stefan.
Very good. And then our special guest, David Buchanan, the kilted chef.
That's me.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yeah, I'm just showcasing the length of my hair. I feel that for posterity, because I'm shaving it all off later to raise some money for to provide some food relief. For the
well, you
villagers.
can tell us that once I've done all the sponsored message. Tell us all those stories, all right?
Okay.
We're in the beginning. All right, read out the sponsored message from Nelson Park Property. This podcast is sponsored by Nelson Park Property, awarded the best real estate agency for 2019. Nelson Park Property has been operating in Qatar for more than 10 years, helping families find their new home, individuals purchase their next investment, and companies move to their new offices. With Nelson Park's team of more than 30 agents, they are confident in helping you make the right decision for your real estate needs. Get in contact with Nelson Park Property on 5551 7567 or visit nelsonparkproperty.com. So we want this show to be positive and uplifting, where you can walk away feeling revitalized and ready to face another day. We're going to bring you experts in their field of business to let you know how they're dealing with this current situation and what measures they have taken to get through this storm. We also want to hear from entertainers, singers, musicians. If you'd like to perform on the show, then please email me on network@gingercamel.com or message us on the message board on the side here on Facebook Live. And finally, just a message. We had our very special guests from www.armyofmars.com and what they were doing for the community. Please visit their website and please offer your services wherever you can. So, Mr. David, so you're having your hair shaved off?
Well, arguably, there's not much call at the moment for traveling chefs, sadly. So I kind of needed to try and do something positive. Just my birthday a couple of weeks ago, so I had a lockdown birthday, quite low key at home. No real aspirations for requirement of gifts and such like. So I set out a little thing on the Twitter sphere last week and started shipping free vanilla samples to some people that I just randomly connected with on Twitter, because the world is an amazing place. Trying to spread some vanilla cheer, help people with their home baking, troubleshoot some cakes that didn't work, blah blah blah, and kind of led me to the idea on Friday to try and raise some money for the farmers and the sort of the rural communities in Bali and across Indonesia that we work with are hugely impacted with the lack of tourism. So the hair has got to go. The top knot is going. So I'm going to be shaving this live on my Instagram feed at 7 o'clock tonight. And last time I checked, we were up to just shy of £700. So obviously none of my friends like my hair, but only one of them was decent and honest enough to actually tell me that prior to actually putting the fundraiser together. So raising a little bit of money just to provide some staples and some support. We'll probably look at doing some other things as well. But anyone who's donated so far, I'm going to ship vanilla pods to them for free. So whatever they've a pod for £1 is what we've done. So the more they've given, the more they will get back. So trying to be a bit of positive cheer and bring some good vibes to the island, basically. Yeah.
No, excellent. Just give everyone elevator pitch about yourself. I'm saying an elevator pitch because I know that you would be able to go on and on. But
Dr. Hannah won't get a word in; she'll be asleep by the time.
No, absolutely. Just give them an elevator pitch.
Okay, so elevator pitch for me. Traveling private chef, cooking 24 years, working for the rich, royal, celeb, famous across the globe, yachts, palaces, jets, a very glitzy, glamorous jet set lifestyle. 24 years in, probably done enough work in that sort of 24 years, 100-hour weeks, probably near enough 50 years worth of work. I'm getting too old for it now. Can't stand at the stoves all day, getting too old, getting grey, getting older, greyer and fatter, and decided to set up Vanillaism, basically to help other people, give people opportunities, give back. So we set up a little project in East Bali and we work across Indonesia, basically supporting farmers and rural communities at grassroots level, providing opportunities and providing support, sometimes physical, sometimes monetary, But it's basically just about trying to convince people to use good quality vanilla products in their food and in their cosmetic manufacture and such like. But obviously doing the whole rainforest to fork philosophy. So pure organic, high level of ethics, no child labor, all that kind of stuff. And because there's a lot of schemes out there that we don't really conscribe to, we set up our own, and that is in essence Vanillaism.
Yeah, because the last time I interviewed you, was that about a couple of years ago? And you were just selling it up, the whole vanilla farm.
I think I just finished working with Will, right? And I was going to Bali to kind of so when I was working for Will, he was filming Aladdin in the UK, and I was living sort of and working down in the south of England near where a friend of mine who is originally from Bali lives near Oxford, and basically told me about the problems that his community and his village was having, and across Indonesia, deforestation with palm oil and all this kind of stuff. And he said, I said, mate, how can I help you? You tell me what I can do to help you. And he said, just come and help and come and meet the people and, convince them that there is a demand for vanilla, and and we can get them to go back to growing vanilla and getting away from growing palm oil and other things. And that was basically it. And we came in and we had a bit of a chat. Did I leave you a haggis? I think I left you a haggis.
You did leave me a haggis. It was superb. You need to come back.
Yeah, I know. Wherever I go, I'm a bit of a one-trick pony now. I only ever really take vanilla with me. It is delicious.
I'm sure it is. So how are you coping with being self-isolated? Because you are quite a man about town and here, there, and everywhere. Yeah,
I guess it's kind of crazy. It's hard. It's for me completely. Honestly, it's completely fine. And I'm not saying it to be smug nor anything else. It's just that this is actually what I normally do. So I travel around the world like a mad, crazy thing, working yachts, flying here, there, whatever, up, down, round about 100-hour weeks, if not more. And then after I've done that and I've kind of, done a contract or, made my money, whatever the end goal was, I come back home to Scotland. I basically come back into my apartment. And normally I've now even started buying groceries at the airport before I make the journey home. And I then slowly but surely lock myself into my apartment. I do my laundry, and before I go away, I always make a fresh bed. I insist on coming back to a fresh bed. I don't have many standards now. I'm old, none of that's important anymore. But a clean, fresh bed is a delight for anybody. And I normally do self-isolate. So I'm so used to being surrounded by people all the time. And if you work in an office, for example, there's always someone there answering the phone or calling or somebody coming and going or whatever. Whereas when I'm at home, I get the complete opposite of that. I can literally lock my door and just pretend I'm not here.
Wow.
The lights going on and off and a bit of noise every once in a while. You would never know I was here. But it's fascinating trying to keep friends and family upbeat who are now trapped in a little 4-room box, which they're not used to doing. So I think mentally more than anything, it's a big challenge for a lot of people. Luckily I am amazing company. So, on my own,
absolutely,
it's not really as tragic as it could be. Let's be honest. If I had a 6-pack and big arms and big legs and lived for the gym and all that, I'd be god awfully boring at home right now, wouldn't I? I'd have no. Yeah. Arguably, I don't have any chat anyway, right? If I look like that, so at the end of the day, you take that away from them, There's a lot of, what I'm just saying, right, is that there's a lot of 9s and 10s out there in the online dating world right now who are having to really massively reduce their standards and their visual levels when they're swiping right. I'm just saying that. I know, because I'm getting a lot of 9s and 10s swiping right on me, and I'm just saying that arguably I'm not a 9 or a 10. So,
so this period is a bonus for you then.
Absolutely, yeah. I was talking to a few people yesterday, and I was listening because I couldn't obviously chime in yesterday. I was just watching and listening with you and Dr. Hanan, and I was saying that everybody there are two mindsets in the world I find fascinating in business and in the world that I work in, for the uber wealthy. there are the ones who see the current global situation and they go, oh, it's terrible, let's stay at home, oh, blame somebody else for not doing this or that or whatever. And then the other ones, which arguably tend to be the more entrepreneurial types, the ones with the right mindset, a bit more positive, see this kind of crisis situation and circumstance as an opportunity. And I think that if you can rewire the brain, I mean, arguably business has changed probably forever, right? I think it's probably fair to surmise that. But business will go back to what it was like before, but people will need to make better choices. People will need to be more mindful about, do they fly halfway across the world for that meeting when we could do it like this online? You know, they have to be more mindful. And at the end of the day, you know, I watched an interesting video on Twitter that someone had sent to me a week ago. And it was a guy who was an American news, CBS or something like that, interviewing a guy who's an entrepreneur of some sort in America, saying, you know, how is it that, you know, we, the taxpayer in the US, have to fund airlines? Why do we have to bail them out? You know, we did that to the banks, and that didn't arguably do anything for us. It's just going to keep the economy going, really, let's be honest, stumbling to the next sort of hurdle, so to speak. You know, if businesses can't be too big to fail, they just can't be. I understand the implications of employing people and they pay taxes. I get all of that. And, you know, they create opportunities for commerce to fly people, to go to meetings, to sign the deals. I totally get all of that, right? But if you run a business which can't weather the storm just now, forget about the fact that the lockdown is a week, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 5 months. It doesn't matter. If you're unable to facilitate your payroll and everything else, the chances are that your business was probably not as healthy as you thought it was in the first instance. So perhaps this is an opportunity for you to be maybe a little bit more, maybe an opportunity perhaps to streamline, perhaps to cut some fat, you know, get rid of some of the unnecessariness in order to watch the pennies, and then obviously all those watched pennies eventually make pounds on the P&L, you know.
Very good. What's your take on that, Dr. Hanan?
You're resonating everything we were talking about yesterday. It's this is an opportunity.
I was watching.
Hey, just repeating what we were talking about yesterday.
Telepathy. I'm not saying you're repeating. I'm saying you're resonating. In essence, that's what we've been saying. This is an opportunity to, yes, it is a challenging time, but it is an opportunity to revisit our business model, our strategies, our organizational charts, and the layering, that unnecessary layering in a lot of sectors. And this is also a way to rethink and repurpose our resources. We have a lot of people that are more than capable. They are hired for a certain job. And as we were saying, once you encourage and foster innovation and connectivity, you can realize that you can repurpose them somewhere else where they will thrive and the business will thrive accordingly. It is a mindset, it is a view, and it is a perspective. And if we do not take this time frame to analyze it from that perspective, then we might have missed out on a window of opportunity where everyone around the world has slowed down to reassess and analyze. And by the time you catch up, then everyone will be playing catch up and you would have still be left behind.
Absolutely.
So it's collective, it's universal. Let's build on it in that sense.
Yeah. So David, is this time is just like normal? So you're not reevaluating how you're going to move forward? It's just like, well, this is what I do anyway. So
reevaluating life. So I guess lockdown this time, arguably, I do that. I normally do this every year, right? So may as well kind of give you the inside scoop, right? And so I normally, for many years, used to work a regular job, 9 to 5, albeit in a chef world. You know, you work sort of 10 till 10, whatever. And you work a lot, and you know you have a really terrible work-life balance. I sacrifice personal relationships and everything in order to maintain my job and everything. I had the balance all wrong, way wrong, like massively wrong. And I have a really hard work ethic. I have that entrepreneurial spirit. You know, I have that kind of never say die attitude. And over the last few years, I've realigned my world so that I didn't have to work nearly as much. So I started cutting the fat from my world, whether that was professional, personal, in whatever way, social circles, etc. The idea was to work a little bit, live a lot, rather than living to go back to work to earn the money. What I don't understand when with a lot of people, and sadly a lot of people crack this, but much later in life than me, is that they go to work to earn the money, to go out on the weekends, to buy the holidays, and to go and do whatever, buy things, enjoy life, whatever the trappings of whatever your view of success is, whether that's a yacht or whatever is relevant to your metric. But you do that at the expense of your personal health and very often relationships, which arguably don't fulfill you. So you kind of have this weird kind of this perpetual thing where you just kind of stumble to the next thing that you think is going to make you happy, or is going to bring back happiness, or is going to take away stress or whatever. And arguably, if you're not very good at doing that, that's when you kind of turn to things like drink, drugs, gambling, goodness only knows what, whatever gives you that high, which replaces the sadness or the lacking of happiness in your professional and personal world. So I cracked that a good number of years ago, and I normally work in the summertime, working in yachts in the south of France, where I earn more in a month in the south of France than a trainee chef or a commie chef would earn working for the whole year in Scotland, for example. So my mentality was, if I could reduce the trappings of my successful life, and I've worked hard to have a lovely house, I have a big house, I have nice things and everything, but I've worked 24 years, and I've sacrificed an awful lot to get to where I am, and arguably I just have some money in the bank. And I realized that wasn't ever going to fulfill me, and that I needed to be happier and do other things. So I started my yoga again, and I started looking at the world from a very different perspective. I've never been the kind of guy who likes to sit in traffic. If you sit in traffic, you're doing it wrong. Yeah, you're sitting in traffic to go to the job that you probably don't arguably enjoy that much. You certainly probably don't love it. I know you're the exception, Stefan. You've cracked it as well, bless you. But it's about when I worked for Will, he always told me about the book The Subtle Art. The Subtle Art book. Let's not swear on air, but the one I mean, the orange book.
Oh yeah.
Is it Mark Manson or Mark Mason?
Manson.
Whatever it is.
Yeah.
Mark
Manson.
Manson. So he used to talk about this book a lot, and he used to quote it quite a lot. And when I was working for him, we were just kind of talking about it, and I kind of turned around one day and I said, I have absolutely zero to give about that. And he just kind of turned around and he laughed at me, and he said, why not? And I said, I literally just don't care. And he was watching Trump on TV, right? And he was getting quite agitated, and quite as a lot of people who don't support Trump do tend to get when they watch him. And we were kind of having this bit of banter back and forth, and I said, I understand that you think that I should care about this, and I should get frustrated and angry and whatever. I said, I understand why you think that. I said, but I can't affect American politics. I said, you, as arguably the second most famous black man in the world, which is one of the stories he used to tell us about when Obama got the presidency. I said, you can't affect that. I said, you probably could if you wanted to. I said, but it's a fight that you don't arguably want to have. I said, so I just don't give any about that. And he was like, that's so refreshing. And then we started having other conversations, and I told him about this concept that I had on energy and in the world, and how we go through periods of positive and negative energy equity. And I was basically able to correlate. I got on really, really well with him, international megastar worth hundreds of millions of dollars and all the rest of it. Regular guy, likes chicken, doesn't eat a lot of dairy, doesn't eat much sugar, there are lots of common grounds, I think, that we lose sight of as we get older, and I kind of wanted to regress back to a much simpler life. So my aim at the moment in this part of my life, having set up Vanillaism 2.5 years ago now, nearly 3 years ago, is to sell my house here in Glasgow. Realign my assets. I'm looking at building a tiny house, sort of pull along trailer house, the American tiny house concept, and building a small restaurant within the back of that. So my kitchen stroke living room, dining room will be like a little mini restaurant, just have like 6-8 covers, something like that, a little grill outside. And the idea is to travel it around the UK, if not the wider world, meeting people, having experiences, going somewhere new, learning what the local delicacy is, buying ingredients, sharing a meal with people, and having experiences. Because having a beautiful house like this is fabulous, but I don't want to bring people here to cook for them, because it's a lot.
No, when you talked about the Winnebago and traveling around, I thought you were going to say somewhere exotic, and then you went, well, just around the UK, because I thought I'm there with you, and then you
before lockdown happened and everything else, and I have some inside sort of Wuhan, China knowledge because I have lots of friends who kind of live and work there as teachers and people in different industries and things that I've met through Bali and Qatar and other places that I've worked and traveled. And I was like, I had a friend who arrived in Bali 3 or 4 days before me at the end of January, and she basically was told she will not go back there until the end of June, beginning of July at the earliest, and that was back at the end of January. So they definitely knew something was going on, and that's why they made that strategy, right? And prior to that, I was looking at building my tiny house and actually driving it to Bali. That's what they actually
I could see that.
Blog it, stuff up different countries, different cultures, cuisines, etc., film it all, help it try and self-support itself a little bit with some ad revenues, whatever. But the idea is to build a house completely off-grid, so it will be tooled by an electric or hybrid vehicle, solar panels, etc., And the only thing that it arguably needs is, apart from sunshine, which thankfully will always be there, is fresh water once in a while. So that was the original plan. So I've kind of adapted it slightly just now to think that we might just tour it around the UK, possibly around Europe. But the fundamental thing still stays the same. The idea is to simplify the world and my life. I'm already very mindful about not buying single-use plastic and palm oil products and things like that. But we all have to make better choices. Full stop. Doesn't matter what you do, where you're going, whether you're in business, whether you're an employee. We all, from this point onward, now, this is it. This is the opportunity to take stock, draw the line, full stop, and from here onward is the opportunity. The crisis has already sort of arguably been culminating toward this pandemic. From this point onward, we have to all make better choices, not necessarily all the time, but as often as we can. Do we need to buy the cheap clothing? Do we need to buy the cheap electrical gadget in China flown around the world? We need to make better choices about what we do with our money and how we invest our time. And we've seen some amazing things, people supporting the NHS in Scotland and in the UK, and people volunteering, and the old retired army guy who's 99, who's raised like £25 million, that is just amazing, and it brings out some of the most fabulous parts of humanity, really. I mean, raising £700 nearly to get rid of this barnet is hard.
You could have done better.
That I never thought I was going to ever going to achieve, and that provides, £700 at the moment will probably provide about 1.5 tons of rice. For the village, which, without rice, there is no power, as the Asian proverb goes. And that I think is a wonderful thing. And I think that we can always very often become very toxic, and it's very carcinogenic to want to blame somebody. Will and I discussed this one time, and I'll surmise it for you. It's not your fault that something happened, but it is your responsibility to deal with it, to process it in whatever way makes sense of it, in order for you to grow and to get to that end goal of whether it's happiness, more happiness, have a family, whatever it is, whatever the goal is. He did a little YouTube video when he was away. I think he was filming in Wyoming or something I think it's part of Gemini Man he was doing. And when you looked at that little video, it's just 2.5 minutes. Look it up on YouTube. It's just put fault/responsibility Will Smith or something. And when you watch that, he surmises it perfectly. But him and I used to discuss this very regularly over coffee of a breakfast or of a morning. And he's obviously gone away and he thinks about things and he puts this together. And his aim with his YouTube and with his socials, because he never had Instagram, he got Instagram a week after I was working for him. And now he's got 20 or 30 million followers. And everything about him, if you look at it, it's all about being positive. You know, his wife's Red Table Talk show, for example, that's always a great idea. You know, we discussed how to, they were obviously already doing that, but we actually filmed a pilot of that show in the house. Then there was too many people, so they cut it down. Now it's just the three girls, the three Smith girls, and then the guest. But fascinating the things that they talk about and the platform that they have really, you know, in the modern world to really kind of take where we are in the world and discuss issues and get 20 million views on it, you know, and only be positive and only be happy, you know. So many people that are out there with, you know, hundreds of thousands or millions of followers on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, you know, those guys arguably are doing nothing now, right? I don't care some Instagram influencer who's got millions of followers try to sell me some rubbish lotion or potion at home now. That's not business. That's not commerce. That's not entrepreneurialism. It's complete nonsense, you know? They're absolute nobodies. If Instagram stopped tomorrow, yeah, the way I always say it is if Instagram stopped tomorrow, or all the social media stopped tomorrow, where would you be in life? Would you be happy? Would you be fulfilled? What is your legacy? You know, your legacy is what you leave behind, not what you achieve whilst you're here. My legacy will be the Vanillaism project going forward, helping people, giving people opportunities, giving them the opportunity to help themselves. It's not about me just giving them money and them doing what they want with it. It's about providing opportunities and support and encouragement, you know, because, you know, when you're a kid and you're trying to walk those first few steps or ride the bike without stabilizers, the first 50 yards or whatever, you fail as many times, but the desire to want to get to the point of success is what gets you back up and does it again and again and again. And I think that that's the danger that we have now. I think that is being lost and eroded somewhat from society, and especially from our young people. And they want the instant gratification of millions of followers and riches and free Reebok trainers.
Well,
you know?
this is, yeah, but that's because they see it all the time on Instagram. They follow these influencers and they want
Absolutely.
a piece of them.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's only natural. It's a bit like being in business, right? Doing like Dr. Hanan, if you're doing coaching and whatnot, you see somebody doing well and you want to aspire to that. You know, they have a nice watch and they drive a Ferrari or whatever. You know, the metrics always, many years ago when I first started my entrepreneurial journey, I did a project called Business Dynamics at the time. It's basically a charity talking about entrepreneurial values in school children and sort of 14 to 17 sort of age groups. And I spoke to around about 5,000 children all over Scotland in cinemas and schools and things all over. And I met so many fascinating other entrepreneurs and my best friend now, I actually met on one of those roadshows. He was a panel member as well. And then we became great friends, and we're obviously still friends to this day, which is a wonderful story. But you know, we were meeting people and kids and teachers, even teachers as well. They wanted to know, what car did you drive? How much money did you earn? And how big was your house? That was it. There arguably were no other questions amongst the panel and whatnot. But what we were framing there in my best friend and I's journey was that's what we wanted to raise our first million by the time we were 25 or whatever. Arguably that didn't happen for a whole host of reasons, but you know, that was what our metric was back then. Now he's married with a beautiful daughter who just turned 6 a couple of days ago. Happy birthday to Elise. She won't be listening, but you know. Yeah, her mum probably will be, actually. Her dad definitely won't be. He's not trendy enough to have Facebook, bless him. But you know, that kind of that metric changes as we get older, and arguably it's because we realize that those things are more important. And I think that the quicker that you get to that moment of realization, the better. Don't be angry that you're 50 or 60 and you've not been happy or you've not followed your dreams. Be happy today and be happy for what comes ahead. Don't beat yourself up about it. Just literally chalk it up. That's the line. That was it. It went wrong. From this point going forward, everything's going to be good and positive. That's the thing that's important. Being upbeat. I think it's infectious, isn't it? When you surround yourself with positive energy, hence my concept on energy, you You give the energy out, you get back, you share, you go up, you go down. You know, your aim is always to be happier than the sort of the baseline level.
Oh, thank you, David. So from my original question, what were you going to do?
You know what I'm like.
I know what you're like. Absolutely. That's why it's a joy having you on. So Dr. Hannan, during this time, what are your plans moving forward? Make it short. I'm in the lift.
So many. No, it's I think just following up on what David was saying, it's it has become my journey to in my mission actually to spread the positive impact and create that ripple effect. And that's what I do. So now, even when I've got a Facebook group with the number of ladies, we're a few hundred now, which I'm very blessed and very grateful for. And I call them that we are becoming the positive impact ripple effect ambassadors, because, you know, one person can affect whoever, excuse me. And the point is, what is your impact circle? So you could be impacting just one person in your life, or you could be, that's how you utilize that, your reach in terms of if you're an influencer of any sorts, or you've got hundreds of thousands or millions of followers, then you are causing that in them. I am working now towards creating something that becomes that seed, that positive entrepreneurial mindset seed for women, especially, so they can take it forth. And as I was having a discussion with my person and my resource, we're working together. She's helping support me in building my program. I told her about the analogy of a seed, in the sense that if you utilize every person and every experience that you have in your life in terms of a seed to help you grow further roots, then that is the way that you can grow. But more importantly, how that seed is then up to you to nurture it, and that's up to you to nourish it, and that's up to you to see how far you can grow it. You can't push people into creating positive impact in their lives. You can inspire them. So that's why I always, I now also use Les Brown's statement, I aspire to inspire. But beyond that, the work, it's on you. And so that being said, to answer your question, Stefan, I'm working on so many things. I actually have a radio program launching tomorrow.
Congratulations.
On Cairo Business. Thank you. On Cairo Business Radio. It's in Arabic, which for me is also coming out of my shell to express myself in Arabic properly. I mean, I am Egyptian, but I think English. Yes, I have to use my hands a lot. So the show is launching tomorrow. I'm super proud of it. I can't wait to listen to it myself on the radio. So that is one of the things. A few other projects are in the pipeline. I'm taking this as an opportunity I enjoyed it, to breathe. I went through I processed through my emotional spectrum to start with, the anxiety, the panic, and then the realization of how I can see this as an opportunity and as a gift, and to be blessed and grateful for what I've got. And moving forth, how can I support other women to feel empowered in their own rights and in their own ways, and as per their own standards, which is definitely what I advocate for. Your life, your standards, your expectations, your dreams, and not to be dictated by anyone else, and not as per societal expectations in any way.
Superb. David, I was just thinking, while you're traveling around in your Winnebago, don't you see that opportunity now that you're getting back to, basics, minimalism? Is there not opportunity for you to, and your philosophy in life, is there not an opportunity for you to go into coaching, using food as well, having your own radio show?
I mean, although I've now been saying this for the last 8 months, but only because I had a 4-month window working last year when I was working for Guy, which kind of took up a massive chunk out of my world last year. I am looking at setting up a podcast. So what we're actually going to do is we're probably going to do like a little kind of vlog cast. So it'll basically just be a similar format like this, but basically what it will be is me explaining what my journey has been in life. So you'll meet people that I've worked with maybe chefs that inspire me, people that I've worked with. I have a Michelin star chef, for example, who has just committed, about a week before lockdown, had committed to buying vanilla from us, which was a relationship that I had been building. And I actually met the guy on Twitter, ironically, and then I went to his restaurant, and he has a Michelin star, and he has a young family, and he arguably mimics so many things that I probably thought I wanted years and years ago. Arguably, I don't tell him that, but I'm just obviously happy to kind of share the vanilla message. I think the idea is to set this little vlog up and to show people that it can be done, that you can have a business, and that it can be done on an ethical basis. It can be done, organically. I'm not really one of these people that believes in paid followers. I believe in creating good content, and people come back because they enjoy the content, familiarity, etc. Rather than you could spend money on a glossy production, as you well know, Stefan. It depends relatively, I think, what your end goal is, right? You've got a corporate company that wants to spend a couple $100,000 this month on a project, spend their money, right?
Yeah.
Well as I do, that you could probably get as much traction from doing this and doing that for half the budget. That's not what the brief was, and that's a part of life and business. So my idea eventually, basically, is to do that as part of my day to day. When I go to work, arguably, I'll probably have to shelve it, because I'm not going to be able to do it whilst working, 100-hour weeks and such, like when I'm on yachts and things. You never know. But the idea. Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, the eventual aim is I've built, or we're in the process of building a house in my actual vanilla orchard in the east of Bali at the moment. So we're building like a little traditional bamboo house for me. When I'm not going to be on the island, we'll be able to Airbnb it, rent it out, do that kind of sort of bed and breakfast sort of idea, generate some revenue. But it provides employment in the village, basically. So it provides, I call it trickle down social economics. Rather than putting money into one person that gives it to 2 people, to gives it to 3 people, the idea is that you put a little bit of funding in at the beginning to create a resource or something which allows them to then use that resource. So we're going to set up like a small bike rental business. So you buy the bikes, you set up the little space, then it provides the jobs, then the maintenance of the bikes, clean them, tour guides, etc., etc. It's all quite low level, but it's providing as many strings to the Vanillaism bow as is possible. So maybe I don't know. You seem to think that people like listening to me talk, but I don't know. I think I'm just this fictitious character that people, I meet people all the time, and I tell them what I do like in 60 seconds if I give them my elevator pitch of life, and they look at me and they go, "You don't look old enough for arguing."
Well, that's very true. You're very young looking for being 60.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think I look good for 55.
Absolutely. Yeah, not bad. All right. We've run out of time, but a few people have been watching. Bunny from Oman, Bosco. Wow, if it's not my buddy kilted chef. Wow. No, he said that again. Where is your kilt, Mr. Vanilla Ice? Are you wearing it today? You're not
got it on today. No, I've got my Vanillaism shirt on. I actually have my Chef Buchanan tartan kilt is actually in the jungle, waiting on me going back.
Okay. And then we have Mark Thompson, less or more face-to-face interaction. We will have a wake-up call with regards to what matters in life. We will realize that we take life and environment for granted. Very true. And then Dave Moore says, but David has tasted the materialistic good life, got the house, and mingled with the stars, and is the very person he now appears to reject. He actually is a role model for those kids and people that haven't cracked it yet. I'm sure you don't want to deny them the chance to taste it too.
Not at all. Just a quick one as we end up. Sorry, I think you need to understand that it's not that the trappings of success are always a bad thing. It's just that for the majority of people, using that as the end goal of the big house and the car and everything, very often, sadly, in the Western world, comes at the expense of family, friendships, and relationships, which are more important. The house burns down, the family will still be there. If you lose a family member, they are gone forever. So make the most of, you know, the things that are important in life. Don't listen to anyone else out there that's someone tells you that a big house and a car is important and that joining their program or whatever for $9.99 a month or whatever, I don't care. That's some sort of pyramid scheme, you know, unless you actually get something out of it and they tell you that this is what's important, living your life well and having good relationships and being happy and being fulfilled. That gets you up at 5 a.m. to jump in a tender to go to the markets in the south of France in the summer. That's the difference.
Very true. And then Dave Moore says, how many floors did that elevator go past?
It's a Qatari elevator, and there are obviously more floors there than there probably need to be.
Anyway, superb. Thank you guys for watching and giving us your comments. Thank you, David. It's been
Thanks
a pleasure.
for tuning in, everybody. Appreciate all your likes and shares. Next time you see me, I won't have hair.
Superb. Is that going to be the norm for a while, or is that just, you know, one-off?
Probably, yeah.
All right, great. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Dr. Hanan.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Have a great day. Thank you for watching. Take care.